So my name is Aman Kaushik, and I started teaching in 2012. Started from a stint in Akancha Foundation, where I taught grade 1 and grade 2 kids, and spent 2 years there. And it was a very eye-opening and very rough experience, which taught a lot about the ground level scene of education. From there on, I went to join a Waldorf school called Amor Pune Steiner School, which basically introduced me to a lot of alternative and philosophies of education, and that opened up a lot of vistas in terms of different modalities and different alternative spaces. Met a lot of people there as well who have tried different stuff. So met people from KFI, Krishnamurti Foundation, and TFI, and many other sort of schools of thought. Then took a break and went on to travel and learn a few other things that I wanted to learn, which included meditation and spirituality. Came back to teaching scene and joined a ICSE based school called St. Matthew's Academy in Salonke Vihar. Spent 4 years there and taught 8th to 11th grade ICSE board. So overall, and then came to DLRC after the COVID scene broke out from 21. I'm here, and this is my third year. About to start my third year, yeah.
Wow, lovely. What all do you do at DLRC? And please share any interesting methods that you've used or processes, or share some examples or highlights.
So I teach math and physics in JHS in junior high school and senior high school. So I always try to use inquiry-based learning in the classes where, especially with subjects like math, the intent is to find out the how and why apart from the what. So there is the technical stuff, the algorithmic procedures that you apply and get the answer, but then the real exciting thing lies in why those things work and what are the underlying assumptions and underlying derivation and thought process behind both theories of physics and equations in maths, and trying to prod the students rather than spoon feeding them, and trying to also introduce them to the history of the topic. So calculus has its own history of how it came about. Physics there's always a lot of avenues in high school to discuss a lot of things which go beyond the textbook. So we always end up some more or less in every year and with every batch we end up talking about black holes and relativity and cosmology and latest breakthroughs in physics. So yeah, try to bridge both the classical as well as the modern movements. That's what I like to do. Apart from that, moving on from regular blackboard teaching to facilitation, where students in themselves figure out and come to realize the insights that normally we would write on the board. So yeah, these are the 2-3 major things that I try to do in the class.
Nice. Any highlights from your lessons that you remember? Any interesting lessons that you think, or some student responses or something that students have done that's very interesting?
So for example, in one class, let's say in physics class, we were learning about how an electric circuit works. So we start from a textbook drawing of a battery and a resistor and a wire, and then we start with the story of how electrons flow from one end to the other. But when you complicate it, when you add more components in there, it becomes confusing for the kids to then apply the same analogy. So I was trying to give a more sort of a different analogy to the same circuit, where I drew a dam, a water reservoir at height, and a pump generator at the bottom, and we were trying to understand how battery works. So what is EMF basically? So the ideology or the analogy was the water represents the flow of the current, but what does the battery do? So instead of saying right away that the battery is responsible for raising the potential energy of the electron from low to high, um, an analogy of the pump for the water was given to the students कि जब पानी पूरा नीचे आ जाता है, अपना पूरा पोटेंशियल एनर्जी को काइनेटिक एनर्जी में कन्वर्ट करके नीचे आ जाता है, तो उसको वापस से उसी जगह पे सेम पोटेंशियल एनर्जी पे भेजने के लिए वी यूज़ अ पंप. सो पंप का डायग्राम बताने के बाद स्टूडेंट्स could relate, acha, this is what battery does, and this was kind of a aha moment for them. So they felt good about it. That was one example of what I can remember.
Lovely, lovely. What was your first impression when you came to DLRC, and what's your thought process, opinion right now?
The first impression of DLRC was a very different attempt, a very different initiative. Different in the sense, a very nature-friendly initiative, and a very student-centric initiative. So nature-friendly and student-centric will be the two key terms that's stuck with me. Thirdly, which is the most important, is the people. So the campus is made in a way which aligns with the principles of sustainability, and yes, that's there. But more importantly, the people who make this place tick, who basically have the thought process and who basically work here, that in fact left a lasting first impression to me than the campus, because the way the welcoming nature and willingness to try something different is the quality of the team that we work here with. So that's something which is very, very important, and that drives me. So yeah, that was the first impression then. And now I think uh, we've gone on from strength to strength. So I've seen the growth. I think from the last 3 years has been exponential, because also of the lot of changes, a lot of struggles, a lot of innovation, which those issues which naturally come up as you grow have come up. The way we have tackled with those challenges, and we are trying to keep a good balance between the principles which have always worked, the old is gold principles, and with the contemporary scene of the education, which is NEP and integrating com science and AI and other modalities. So yeah, I think it's a good, healthy hybrid balance that we are moving towards.
Wow. What kind of people would be able to connect with DLRC as parents, facilitators, and students?
I think very plainly put, those parents who were not satisfied with the kind of system that they were educated in the sense that um, if the focus, if the intention, if the stress is on learning and understanding and exploring, um two things: exploring the content, exploring oneself, exploring actually nature. Here, exploring content and exploring nature are not two different things, and exploring oneself. So there are two parts. So when we talk about nature here, we talk about campus that we have here, which has different components: the vermicompost, the biogas plant, the biodegradable toilets, and all the greenery that comes around basically forms the content that the students learn in textbooks. So exploring that in a way which stays with them even if they pass out a certain exam. Um, if the parents and students have that kind of bent of mind, then they will definitely blossom here.
And how about facilitators? What kind of facilitators should really aspire to be a DLRC?
I think a facilitator who wants to really, really enjoy facilitation would find this heaven, because if you're interested in exploring new modalities, trying out new stuff, if you're passionate, then your passion actually is rewarded here in each and every way possible. Be it the kind of space, resources, and time and flexibility you would want to actually execute that, and the kind of students you would want to have that kind of engagement intellectually. So, if you just are in love with teaching itself and growing, and if you are willing to push yourself out of your comfort zone, then this place is fantastic.
Your aspiration for yourself and for the DLRC community.
I think we are, for myself, I'll start with myself. I would now want to think about teaching undergrad courses in maths and physics, and that way I will also get to explore new content, not new content, but um, a more sort of intellectually engaging and research oriented practices. Secondly, as a community, I think we are poised at a place where we can sort of try out and bring many new elements together, and we are ready to actually have an impact directly to the city, where even systems that are there, the problems that are there, we're ready to grow into that kind of institution which takes up problems around us, issues around us as our syllabi and curriculum. In any place, any institution is basically made by the people. So, people who think differently, who want to explore different things, who want to do things hatke in the field of education, um, and who want to be at the cutting edge of educational practices, even coming 5 years, 10 years down the line. So, what will be happening 5 years down the line in the collective scene? Most of it is happening in spurts here. Uh, in we are incubating those practices here at DLRC. So, if you want to be part of something which is futuristic and far more satisfying than what currently we are doing. Yes, the times are changing, the awareness is growing about how education should be, and if you want to be at the forefront of those changes, then DLRC is one of those places to be.